There are so many stories we've never told, questions we never thought to ask. Preserve your family memories for generations to come.
Hey guys, welcome to Chapter 2. My name is Ben Barber. I am your host for this show. I did not tell anybody that this show was going to be happening, which is kind of fun for me. Um, I just decided to do it, and it's been something that I've been thinking about for a long time. Wanting to do a show again, and wanting to do something that was sort of my voice and my thoughts and so let me give you a little overview of what this show is going to be. Basically, I'm gonna have sometimes I'll have guests, and sometimes I'll talk about topics. Sometimes me and the guest will talk about topics. We'll talk about failures, successes, how people define success, the stumbling blocks that sort of led you to where you are today. Those are the things that I'm really interested in, and those are the things that I love listening to people talk about. I can't get enough of them myself, and so that's what I want to do with this show. I don't have a schedule for when it's going to be out or anything like that, but so a little bit of history of this. We've been producing podcasts for a really long time, and the first thing that we ever did was a podcast for Dave, my best friend, my producing partner, Dave DeAngelis. And I really wanted him to do a show. We called it The Sky is Falling. Eventually, I was the co-host, but the idea was, he'll come on, he'll monologue for a little bit, and then we'll have a guest, and it would be great, and it was. Um, and then we started doing podcasts for other people, and I've been the co-host on so many shows, or the producer slash host, co-host on so many shows that it started to, as I started to get busier and there started to be more, I started to think like, you know, what is my voice? What are the things that I want to talk about? What are the things that I want to say and do? And you know, so that's really that's where this came about. And in March, I saw an opportunity the day that everything got shut down. I started the Social Distance Show, and I interviewed some of my friends and local business owners, and we had the lieutenant governor on, and it was great. And I did it every day for 3 months. Um, the Social Distance Show, and then people started paying me to take that time slot. So it was 7 p.m. every night, Monday through Sunday, every 7 days a week, and then slowly people started paying me for that 7 p.m. slot, and I couldn't say no to that. So I gave a couple of them away, and then it became a lot to find guests every day, and then sort of you know the appeal of the Social Distance Show sort of ran its course, right? Like when summer started, people weren't really, it wasn't the same feel. So in the fall, I thought, well, maybe I'll bring the Social Distance Show back. I want this. I want a platform to talk and to talk to guests and to and to do all of that. So I thought, the Social Distance Show should make a comeback this fall, and I planned it, and Dave was going to be my co-host on it, and everything was looking really good in that. And then my mom got COVID, and we didn't do, none of it mattered anymore, and I was kind of against the Social Distance Show anyway because it felt gimmicky, like, and it was 100% gimmicky. I thought I'll do this every day, and this thing's gonna last 2 weeks, a month. Who knew that would last. Hi, Tina. Thank you for joining me today. Everybody, check out Tina's page and check out Tina's stuff because she does a lot of amazing work, and I hope that you're feeling better as well, Tina. So, um, so anyway, and if you guys have anything you want to say, comments, whatever, feel free to leave a comment and talk with me. So basically, I wanted to do it. I wanted to do the social distance show, but I wanted to have a new name, and I couldn't think of a proper name. Something that I would like and that I would appreciate. And then my mom got sick, and my dad had passed away in Tina says, I'm interviewing Dr. Philip Chan at 7 p.m. tonight live about vaccines. That's amazing. Tina, put a link in the comments in case anybody wants to go to your page to watch that. That would be awesome. So anyway, my mom got sick, and I would I second guessed it, and I still wanted to talk, but like it wasn't good. It wasn't the right time for me to do any of that. But that leads me to my topic today because my mom ended up passing away on Christmas of COVID, Christmas morning, and that was difficult, for sure, especially being preceded 4 months earlier by my dad, not of COVID, but they were both in the nursing home all year, and it was really tough. It was a tough year for everybody, and it was, we are no different from that. And let me just give you a little bit of a breakdown of what 2020 was like on the negative end first. Okay, so on the negative end of 2020, 2 days after New Year's Day, my mom was having hallucinations, and we didn't know what was causing them. She was seeing like mice everywhere. And I called I looked up, she had been falling that fall. She had fallen a couple times, and she was really becoming socially withdrawn and things. And so I looked up the symptoms, and I saw what it might be, and I immediately called an ambulance and got her to the hospital. And eventually, it was figured out that it was most likely Lewy body dementia. And after a couple weeks in the hospital in Providence, we found out that it probably wasn't a safe thing for her to come home. My dad, 2 weeks after my mom went to the hospital, he got very depressed. He didn't move around a lot in the house. He was very sad, and he was also sick. And we're not sure what that was. But 2 weeks after my mom left home to go into the hospital last January, we had to call the ambulance for my dad, and and then he got put on a ventilator, and I couldn't tell my mom about it. I couldn't tell my mom that my dad was on a ventilator because she was still having delusions in the hospital because of the dementia, and they didn't know what it was yet. So they weren't able to. One of the things about Lewy body that I learned is that antipsychotic drugs will make the hallucinations worse for some patients with Lewy body, and so that is what was happening, and it was very, very scary. It was a very scary time. Eventually, they got the medications right, and she was able to be moved to the nursing home where my aunt was, and she never had another sign or symptom of her dementia again. She lived about 11 more months, and she never had another sign or symptom of the dementia again once she was in a social environment, which I'm extremely grateful for. After a week, of being at the nursing home. I was able to, and my dad got off of the ventilator. I was able to tell her about it. But now I had both parents. At one point I had both parents in the hospital at either side of the state, and every day was driving back and forth between them. And that was my January of 2020. And it was very, very difficult. February of 2020 ended up being eventually around Valentine's Day, both of them in the nursing home. And we had to make the decision in late February to keep my mom in the nursing home. And then in April, and then the world shut down, in March. And that was really scary. And my dad would have been able to come home, but not walk and not, and need, at the time, and need 100% supervision. So the decision was made to keep both of them in the nursing home, which was incredibly difficult. And I don't know if you guys are aware of the mechanics of how that works, but all of a sudden, 100% of their income has to go to the nursing home, and I became responsible for my bills and their bills, and that was insane, right? So it's an insane year on the negative end. And then in August, everything was okay. They were both very healthy, seemingly very healthy and doing well. And then in August, my dad got sick again and passed away suddenly. My mom got COVID in November and died on Christmas. So those are sort of the negative things about last year. And the positive things for me from last year was that when everything shut down in March, I was on an uptick with productivity and doing what I loved and following my passion. And then in March, when everything shut down, I got a phone call from a friend of mine who is a town councilor, and he decided to go live every night and give updates to the town about what was happening, right? Giving updates about what was happening in the area in regards to COVID restrictions. And he wanted to get the lieutenant governor, who is a friend of his, on the show to give updates on the state level of what's happening. So he called me to ask me if I could do that, and I did. And everything went really, really well with that. And then we started to do that every night, and we would get in big guests, from around the country that would Zoom in with us. And we wanted to make it look fancier, so I found a platform to do fancier live streams. And then everything kind of took off from there, right? So I wrote a blog about this on LinkedIn about how I didn't do anything in 2020 that I know to do to grow a business. I never paid for advertising. I never thank you, Tina. Your shows were awesome. I appreciate that. I never paid for advertising. I took my website down, and I took my website down, and I didn't I never put it back up. I had somebody remake the website for me, and I still to this day haven't given them the last 3 or 4 things that they need to finish the website, because I got really busy with other things. And the soon to be governor became a friend, and we started helping the small businesses and doing the community conversations. And then that led to the RI Elder Info nonprofit asking if I could be borrowed from the lieutenant governor's office, which led to the Alzheimer's Association. And I got to host and do the Washington County Fair. And we had an entrepreneurship challenge from the lieutenant governor's office, which led to a big banking company asking for my help, and all of these things, and the course of Westerly, and many churches, especially shout out to Christ Church in Westerly, who do 9 shows a week with me right now. And so it was this weird year of the worst year of my life with my parents, and the best year of my life with everything else. So it was a weird thing. And when my mom got sick in November, at first I was confident. She didn't have a lot of symptoms and things looked okay. And then she slowly got worse over the next 2 weeks. Um, and then when she got put on a ventilator, it didn't look good no matter what. And sometimes and uh sometimes it would look better in that 3 weeks, but most of the time it didn't. Um and I said, that's hard, right? So uh it's really hard, and it's really hard to understand why you would lose two parents so close to each other. Um and why the best time of your life would happen simultaneously with the worst time of your life. And I started to think about all of this. And uh you know, my dad, my mom was a housewife for most of her life. At least my life, the last 30 years. She worked in restaurants before that, but mainly she was a housewife, and she was disabled for the last almost 20 years. My dad worked his ass off in a mill for my dad worked his ass off in a mill for 54 years. Um, and in that mill, they used a chemical for their glue. It was a textile mill, and he was allergic to it, and it gave him very bad asthma. Um, and so that was really, really difficult. And they both sacrificed a lot, but they were very hardworking, and dedicated, normal people. You know, low on the radar. We didn't need anybody to know about us, and it was all good. So the fact that in the year that they passed, uh, so many things would have happened to the point where I was able to work with governors and congressmen and senators, and the fact that when both of them passed, they got official. Like, I wish that I could tell them this. My parents both got official condolence letters from Congress, from the United States Congress. Like, that's insane to me. And I don't know. My dad would hate it, I'm sure, and my mom would think that it was very nice. And it would, like, it's a very foreign thing. And I just thought, you know, they didn't. I always struggled about, like, what are my parents' hopes and dreams, and because I have so many, you know, I have, like, big aspirations and typical, millennial, pie in the sky. I want everything. I want it all. I want to go make movies and TV shows and stuff, and I want to be an artist. And my dad worked in a mill and never looked up. He just did what he had to do for his family, and in that way, I don't think that I'll ever be half of what he was as a man, because he just had such a dedication to all of that. And I really look up to them so much, for everything that they gave to me, and all of the hard work that he put in. And I think that it bothered me that I didn't know what they really loved, like what their ambitions were, and where their hopes and dreams were. And at some point, Dave said to me, my best friend Dave said to me, "It was you. You know, that was you were their hopes and dreams. It was you. Everything that they did was to provide a loving home and support." And you know, there's a scene in John Adams, the miniseries John Adams, that I'm going to butcher right now, but where he basically says, I study war and something else so that my sons can study government and politics and philosophy, and then so their kids can study music and art and painting, and that really stuck with me, right? So so when my mom and dad both, when it looked clear that this was going to happen, and with Dave's help of pointing that out to me, that it was me, um, I thought about it, and I think that this is the point of today's episode, is that when you have adversity, when we have challenges, uh, we have two options. We can let that crush us. We can let it, um, we can let adversity, we can let the things that happen to us crush us. We can be mad and sad and angry and just rebel against it, and be bitter. Um, or you can use it as fuel, and do your best for yourself and for everyone around you. And so that's why the name of this show is Chapter 2, because uh you know I feel like my life personally um can very easily be split into two parts right now. And I decided that the way that I was going to look at the loss of my parents during what was simultaneously the hands down the best year of my life is that this is not something that happened to me. It was that this is my origin story, you know, which is a little cheesy, and that's kind of why I love it. Um your uh we all have origin stories. For my dad, it was being a army kid who lived in France and Germany and Austria and like 12 different states, and always considered that he never really had friends growing up, and really took care of his cared about his family, who lost his dad when he was 16 and had to walk his sister down the aisle, who took care of his family, who took his grandmother in and helped his sister with her kids when they were young. Um, my dad's origin story was a lot of that, and my mom's was what hers was. And I just thought about it, and I was like, this is a tool. You can only use what you have. I had an acting teacher when I went to school in New York. After high school, I went to a conservatory in New York for acting for a little bit, and I had a teacher who was amazing. His name's Blake Hackler. Um, and one day after a scene, he pulled me aside, and he was like, "You're doing great, but you're supposed to be like intimidating in this scene." And I was like, "Okay." And he was like, "But you're just using your words." And I was like, "Okay." And he was like, "I mean, we are who we are, right? Just because a character says something on the script, you have to use everything about you to convey it. So you're a big guy. That's who you are right now. That's what, like, you have to start from there and then go. So like if you take a step towards this person, that's intimidating because so it was really about learning who you are and taking that from there. And I think that and he gave an example of who he is and how his physicality is different than mine in acting scenes. And it was a very technical acting discussion, but the core of it, the base of it, was that it was this great opportunity, and this is a great opportunity to know that the things that have happened to us, it's not about what they are. It's about taking that and using it in a positive way, or how you use it. If you choose to to be defeated by this, since I'm using the origin stories, excuse me, since I'm using origin stories as the theme here, there's if Bruce Wayne was just afraid of bats his entire life, he could have, but he very easily could have grown up to be a recluse who was afraid of bats and who was sad all day because both of his parents passed away or were killed. All of these things, like Spider-Man could have never gotten over the guilt of Uncle Ben and stopped doing anything. And I think that those are funny examples. Tina says, we are the author of our own story. Let's make them great stories. Absolutely. Right. So what happens to you, you get to choose. And I've chosen that my parents' legacy, right, what they left on earth, is me. And there's another great scene. There's a great scene with Mae Whitman and Craig T. Nelson from Parenthood, where she gets into a car accident, and he says, she's his granddaughter in the show, and she says, like, you're not allowed to ruin my hopes and dreams of you. Like, you're not allowed to just throw your life away. And I think that all of that being said, that's why this is called Chapter 2, and that's why that's something that I'm excited about, right? So I'm excited for all of this because I felt like 2020 was a great foundation year for me anyway, and it would have been. And if I had the choice, it would not have gone the way that it did. I would rather have no relationships with anybody that I did, and not have any of the live streams or any of the connections or any of the, I'd rather never make a penny again, than to have lost both of my parents. But I don't have a choice in that. What I do have a choice in is what I do now. So my thing, what I love to do, is help people and find creative ways of helping people. And that's what we do every Tuesday with the Small Business Town Hall. We're helping people get unemployment. We're helping businesses get loans and grants and know what's out there. That's what we do with community conversations. That's what we do with the churches, with helping communities get together. That's what we're doing with family story albums, where we're trying to. I had the unbelievable luxury of talking to my parents because of what I do, because of being a video producer. I was able to sit down and record them and have those memories for the rest of my life. And I wanted to give that to other people. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to give that to other people. So that's kind of what this is about, right? When something happens to you, you can be defeated by it, or you can use it. And I've decided to use it. So this has been Chapter 2, Episode 1. It will not all be monologues. There will be other guests, and we're going to talk to I'm going to talk to, but you can too. I don't have a schedule for when this will be out yet or anything else as far as a regular schedule, but it's going to be regular, and there's just no time like the present. So I wanted to get that out and do it now, because when inspiration strikes, you should take it. And I hope that all of you are doing well tonight, or whenever you're listening to this or watching it. And I just want to say thank you. Deb, my good friend Deb, what's up? And when stuff happens, you also have to allow yourself to grieve as you move through the process. Absolutely, Deb. Absolutely. And I've and that's why I didn't want to do anything right away. I didn't want to the week after my dad died, I had to host the biggest thing that I at that point had ever hosted. And and I didn't take the time for myself that I needed. And when my mom passed, it hit me like a ton of bricks. And I knew that I needed time, you know? So it's been over a month now, and there's no way I'm over it. I'm never gonna be over it or anything, but I'm ready to work again and do that. And take opportunities and take big swings and make something out of this. And the bottom line is, uh, if you can do something to better yourself and to better the world around you, you should do it. And there are things that that are going to happen and are going to knock you down, and to be able to get back up and to continue with that is truly a blessing, and something where you should pass that on and pass on that positivity. So that's what I'm going to try to do, and I'm going to try to do that right now and pass on that positivity to you. So I hope you have a great day, great rest of your night, wherever and whenever you're watching or listening to this. This is chapter 2. Please leave a comment, like it, whatever it is, share it out, and let me know what you would like to see be a part of this. And if you want to help, save your own family memories, we do have FamilyStoryAlbums.com. You don't have to do any of that, but it is a service that we're going to try to give to people from now on. So thank you guys very much. I will see you next time. Goodbye.
There are so many stories we've never told, questions we never thought to ask. Preserve your family memories for generations to come.